All right, guys, welcome to The Way I See Things. We've done a few videos, just try to give you an outline as to what we're doing here. We're trying to give you a coach's insight into college football. So we want to break down, especially offensively, break down what schools are doing. So when you watch your team on Saturday, you kind of recognize and understand what the thought process is behind the certain plays that they're running.
Right, because the spread's just not a spread. You know, all the spreads ain't the same spread.
Right. When you hear that, it drives me crazy when you hear
it's a spread.
Right.
That's because that's a lot of times that's all you hear about a coach. He runs a spread. What?
Well, what is that? That would.
That's
be
a lot
like
of what we're doing. We're
somebody buying like your next door neighbor buying a brand new Lamborghini, and then somebody tells you, well, I heard they bought a car.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it is a car, but it's a lot more than that. So we just want to try to break down and explain to you what's going on without getting too in depth, because we don't want to get boring. But if you have questions, or you don't understand something, or you disagree with it, or whatever, shoot us a comment, and we would be more than happy to answer whatever question you may have. Today we're going to be looking at SMU and Tulsa from last year. So this is going to be for the Arkansas fans, because Arkansas got Chad Morris as a coach. Hey, he's a well-known offensive genius. So we kind of want to dig in a little bit and see what's going on with this guy. So let's go ahead and get in the lab and see what we can get figured out. So what formation are we looking at right there?
King's left.
That would be King's left. Why is that King's left?
Get your tight end on the left side.
Tight ends on the left side, and there's twins away. So we designate that as King's left. And the way most schools and most offenses, they don't really call the back to one side or the other. The back will be to whatever side the play calls for. All right? So let's run it and see what's going on here. You see Tulsa is really, they're not really run heavy. All right, run that back for me, Joseph. All right, so looking at the offensive line. Okay. So that's just a like a pin and pull, a power scheme. Anytime you're wrapping linemen and leading, it's a power scheme. Now, a true power is going to have a kick out by the fullback or a H back or something like that. But when you're wrapped, so like this formation right here, it's a formation that's tailor made for a power scheme, because you got once you start going through this, you start recognizing it over and over again, because that they may call that their H back, or they could call it their Y. But that guy that's up in front of the tailback, you're going to want that guy to be able to kick out ends, kick out linebackers, and then catch the ball.
Right.
All right.
He's a fullback, but he's got to be able to get out in the flats and catch the ball.
He's a few plays. In a lot of spread offenses, the tight end, the traditional tight end position becomes more a hybrid position. So because of hybrid, a lot of people call it H. Mm-hmm. That's what you hear H back.
Right.
But H back stands for hybrid. Well, what gets complicated with that is sometimes the H is a hybrid, is a different type of hybrid. Sometimes the H is a hybrid slot tailback. So think Percy Harvin.
Right.
That's an H back.
And then you can think Hernandez for the Patriots.
That's the other type.
Right. Yeah.
And Florida had both of those guys on the same team. So, Auburn had that, I can't think of his name, that white guy that was real tough a few years ago. He was a fullback. He was their H back.
Auburn?
Yeah. I can't think of his name, but I'm sure fans know what I'm talking about. But anyway, you've got different types of H's. You got one that's more of an athletic, you try to get him in space, and then you've got more of a bruiser. So in some offenses, they call that their Y. Mm-hmm. Some offenses, they call it their H. So it's different, but I'm just trying to make y'all understand the scheme behind it. All right. And all right, so the guy. So I don't want to get in the weeds on what the formation was right there. Run that one more time. The guy that caught that ball, now in a lot of offense, when I say like the Percy Harvin guy, that's that guy. In my offense, that's the guy we would call H. And what he's running right there is what's called an option route. So you see the New England Patriots run. A lot of people don't really, and this is one of the things that drives me crazy. Hear all these idiots on ESPN saying, "Oh well, you got to have a quarterback that can run a pro-style offense." Blah 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 blah. When the team that is annihilating everybody in the NFL over and over and over again is the New England Patriots. Coach Belichick got the majority of his offense from college coaches. He spent weeks at a time with Urban Meyer and Chip Kelly and different guys, because he wanted to learn that game. So when you see all the little Julian Edelman and Wes Welker and those type guys, they make their living running option routes and jerk routes. So when you think about that position, what you want is like a point guard, somebody who's really quick. It really doesn't matter how fast they are. So anyway, if you see the guy that's on the inside right there, he's gonna come out, run about 5-6 yards downfield. And you see he comes out like a basketball player. Mm-hmm. He's got that little hop because he is deciding he has the option. He can cut out or he can cut in based on the coverage. Right there, he probably could have did either one he wants. You normally go out if all things are equal. And so that's what he did, and they pick up yardage because what they're trying to do is say this athlete is going to be better in space than whatever linebacker is trying to cover.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a good example right there of the no huddle, pushing the tempo. They're getting lined up before the officials out of the way. All right, so what formation are we in right here?
Left.
It looks like King's left. Looks like he's tight end on the left. And one thing that's important, you look at the width at the twins. So they're on the left hash mark, but the slot is basically halfway between the numbers and the right hash mark. Mm-hmm. What that tells me is they're trying to create space. So like that the outside linebacker would typically is going to split the difference between the number 2 guy and the tackle, and he's roughly splitting the difference.
So you would think he's probably coming. Right.
He'll tell you in a little bit. If he's coming, he'll probably walk up. But he's a little closer than halfway. Mm-hmm. So that should be as a quarterback, you should be thinking he may be coming.
Right.
All right. So, and you do that so you can adjust, and that's where your hot routes call in. So like, if you think, hey, he may be coming, then what that quarterback should be doing is telling that slot to run a slant.
And the reason I say that is because he didn't get halfway. He's still trying to keep us.
Right.
He's trying to not tell what he's doing.
He should be a lot closer to that hash mark than he is.
Right.
Oh, so he walks down. So
yeah, there's no question.
It should be a slant in behind him right now. And it may not be, and if it's not, a quarterback probably won't have time.
Yeah.
All right. So that's exactly what he was able to get the ball. That was a crazy throw, but so that's a great coach, and it was a good find by you, Jake. That the fact that he was not quite as wide as he should be, and look, and I do want to say, guys, we're kind of watching this in real time, so it's not like we know what's going to happen. So we may say some crazy stuff, which I think there's some learning that can go on in that, because you're not going to always know what's going to happen, but there's things that you should be seeing. So, like Jake said, hey, he's not halfway. He's not splitting the difference, so he may be coming. That's hopefully what the quarterback sees.
Right.
So Arkansas fans, when you see that form, now it can change based on the coverage and all of that, but most of the time, that force player, that outside linebacker, is going to be splitting the difference,
right?
Unless something else is going on. Okay, so we have now. We would just call this trips. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of calling it, but trips, right? Which means 4 wide receivers and 3 of them are on the right side. You can see the way Tulsa's playing it. Now you see that outside linebacker. He's still a little closer than halfway, but not that much closer.
Right, he can make a play.
Right, and then you're going to walk some guy up to get right in the middle of that number 2 guy out there. And the way it normally works is the like the nickel back that's walked up, and the corner will usually take those 2 guys, those outside 2 guys. All right, so we would just call that fast screen. All that is there's 3 on 2 out there. 3 on 2, so they're thinking, this is just part of these type. This is a staple of most spread offenses. There's 3 wide receivers out there. There's only 2 defenders that's close enough to have any, to be involved in stopping a screen. So it's not like you're looking for a touchdown. You're looking for positive yards, because one thing you're going to hear is safe,
easy,
right,
4 or 5 yards.
And the key to the spread is always moving the chains.
Yep,
moving the chains. So
those are the key to the spread. You get those 4 or 5 yard gains, then you're second short, or you pick up a first down.
That's
right there.
So all right, here we go. This is another one of those power type formations, because you got an up back. So you got your H or your Y or whatever this particular offense calls him. So when you see that, you could think possibly power, run, counter, or some type of play action, or lead.
When you see this, are they trying to get the edge, or do they want to run between the tackles? Or
it could be either.
Right.
It makes it easier to get the edge, because you've got that edge player. Something to look for is when you see those 2 guys stacked like that, is look at the opposite receiver. If they've got a formation where he can be off, then you could see like a jet sweep coming back towards him. Then he has 2 lead blockers.
Mm-hmm.
He's on right now, so that's not happening. But so it could be a counter or power back away. It could be power to the strength, or it could be like a quick
power. You mean
power? What I mean by that is, if it's power. So if they run power left, leave it up there where we can see the screen. If they run power left, and that would mean that up back, that Y, is going to be kicking out the edge player.
Okay.
And the tackle and guard will be blocking down, and the backside guard will be wrapping. That will be power to the left. If they ran power to the right, it'd be exactly the same, except the Y would go across the formation and kick that in out, and everything else would be the same. Or they could run like a toss, like a quick toss to the left and have a leap. I mean, there's a lot, but it's definitely, in this offense, it's more of a run-oriented formation, or play-action formation. All right, so that right there is a RPO. So, and RPO means run pass option. So they had power. They were running power with an RPO, which means that quarterback. Now there's several different aspects of an RPO. There's a pre-snap read. So what we just saw there was a pre-snap read. The corner was backed far enough off the wide receiver. He felt like he had at least 5 yards. So even though it's power, the offensive line's running power, he's throwing that quick hitch. That's a pre-snap RPO. A during the play RPO would mean he's going to be reading a specific player, usually a safety or an edge player. So normally a safety or an outside linebacker. So the way it would work is, you say you got that same formation, but you got a slot on the left side, or a tight end on the left side. It doesn't matter. So the tight end or the slot is going to attack the seam. So the quarterback is going to come up and he's going to make his pre-snap read. Go back. Can you go back to that formation we were just looking at? With this formation, you can't see the slot and the other wide out at the bottom of the screen. So this is how this RPO would work. There's going to be a pre-snap read on the back side. By pre-snap, that means you're not going to try to read that corner during the play. You don't have time to do that. You'll get your quarterback killed. So you'll read him before the play. And usually the rule of thumb is 5 yards. He's off about 7 yards. So there's enough room to get that hitch. So he can take that pre-snap hitch. He can give the ball. Let me start over. Once he decides whether or not he's going to give the hitch, and the rest comes in. Mm-hmm. So if he decides, okay, I'm throwing the hitch, and he's going to throw it.
Nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. If he decides, okay, the hitch is not there, now he's running the play. Now, the only people that know what he's doing is the quarterback. That receiver's going to run a hitch. The offensive line's going to block power. That group right there is all going to run the power play. Now, the receivers that we can't see this at the bottom of the screen, they're going to have some routes. But the only one that's going to matter is the slot.
Right.
He's going to run a slant or a seam or something. So if the quarterback doesn't throw the hitch, what he's going to do is read in this formation either that outside linebacker. He will either read that guy or he'll read the safety that we can't see, mm-hmm. based on the scheme. And then based on what they do, he'll either give it to the back or he'll throw it. And what he would be reading for them is them playing the run.
It's about so dangerous of an offense because you attack on just a power play. You can attack from boundary to boundary and to the end zone.
Exactly. The key to offensive football, and this is important, and it really doesn't matter if you're coaching Little League football, high school football, or college. Now, I will say this, the NFL, it gets a little different.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty much the same there too. When you're running the ball, the key to most all running games, besides, the fundamentals, but from a scheme standpoint, is figuring out who you don't have to block. So, that's what made the zone read so revolutionary 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Is, okay, we're not going to block this edge guy, and we're going to read him. And if he comes downhill, we're going to keep a fast quarterback that can run it. And if he doesn't, then that automatically gives us a running lane. Mm-hmm. So that,
it evens the numbers.
It evens the numbers. But it's got so much more in depth than that. To now, we're figuring out. We still do all that. We still run zone read. The difference is now we don't always read the end. Sometimes we read a tackle, which is a midline, which is what high school coaches have run forever. Or maybe we read a lineman. And so when I say we read them, it means we're not going to block them.
I chuckle when you say midline because I always think about Georgia Southern beating Florida, running the midline.
Yeah, running what teams have run in the state, everywhere forever. Valdosta was run. Anyway, I don't want to get on the subject of the midline, but so here's where the run pass option has taken that to a new level. So now you're going to run an offensive blocking scheme like power, which accounts for everybody. Zone read doesn't account for everybody. Trap does not account for everybody. Power does account for everybody. So there's no read in power. You're trying to block everybody at the front. Mm-hmm. So when you block, but what you can read is somebody in the second level or the third level. And now the passing game comes involved. So when teams run an RPO, 9 times out of 10, it's a power blocking scheme, or sometimes it's
they want to force the defense to have to bring that safety up to stop the run.
Right.
And if when he comes up,
that's the simple way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: some of these schools, especially the more kind of nuanced ways of running this, I see, especially like in the Big 12, I'll see them running RPOs with zone reads. Now, I just don't think that can work in the SEC, and I'll tell you why. If you run a zone read scheme, then you're not blocking the end. If you don't block the end in the SEC, the quarterback will not last through the first quarter.
You got an end coming at you.
He's coming wide open, so you might get the ball off, but you're gonna get your ass knocked at it. So it's not gonna matter. I don't believe that Coach Morse is going to go that route. Now listen, if you've got a supremely gifted athlete at quarterback, like if you've got a Mike Vick type or a Lamar Jackson type, then you can push your. You can push your. Was that his name?
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can about do whatever you want.
You could push him back instead of most quarterbacks go at 5 yards. You could push him back to 7 yards and risk it because they're going to be afraid to go at him really hard anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
there
ain't many of them guys walking around. So I can pretty much tell you if they're going to run a run pass option, they're going to have everybody on the front accounted for. All right, I didn't want to get too off in the weeds right there, but I do think that it's important. I mean, that's the goal behind our show is y'all understanding. You know, we're hoping that you're looking at this stuff, right? So,
so you just don't think you don't realize there's that much going on in this play because you see what it looks like to most people for years. This play would have just been, he just fake play action and.
But he didn't fake; he just threw it, didn't he?
I thought he might have faked it. He may just throw it, but you don't realize there's so much going on.
He did fake it. You're right, but he already had made his mind.
Right,
what he was
his
doing.
feet were already going through with the throw in motion, pretty much.
Right. Is this the next player the same?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean there's no.
So if your quarterback can make that read and make that throw, it's really hard to stop this.
Right, and that's simple. That's not.
Well, so if you take it to the next step, it kind of forces you to play a lot of man. But then if you got an athletic quarterback and you play man and he gets loose,
you see what Baker Mayfield does when teams run man.
So it's really tough to stop. All right, so we've got definite run heavy formation. You would expect some type of run here. This is more of probably like a gimmick set. And when I say by gimmick, it's probably not. They've got a different quarterback in right here. They put in a guy that I'm going to guess is probably more athletic. So they're probably going to. It's probably some type of red zone package they've got. So
yeah,
let's just run it and see what. And a coach like Coach Morris, he's creative, so he's always looking to tinker with things. So you saw what they run right then was they had the two lead blockers. They fake, sweep, or toss left, and then run counter back to the right.
But athletic quarterback.
Yep.
Just run the ball in.
That's right. All right. So it looks like we're going to have what we would call ace formation, 2x2. Definitely looks like Tulsa's thinking this guy's going to run the ball. So then they do run the quick toss. They run it back to the boundary. They're probably thinking Tulsa's going to be slanting to the field.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that a lot. Yeah, they were slanting to the field. Tulsa makes the play, so now it's going to be third down. They're probably going to bring that other guy back in. Yep, there he comes.
Slants to the field. They should score. That end made a good play getting back.
That's what happened. It's second. Okay, so they picked up the first. So this could be a run or a pass. So you're going to roll him. Oh, touchdown. So they had those two backs to that side, and they were just, I've done that many times. We have a rollout to the side of your protection, So you're going to run something like a smash concept. So smash would mean outside guy running some type of hitch, inside guy running some type of corner route. Or a lot of people call that a smash route. But they've got them 2 lead blockers to make sure that quarterback gets time. Okay, so they're empty. So what would we call this empty what?
This would be empty right.
Empty right, because there's 3 guys on the right. And they're bunched down here at the bottom, which would mean it would not surprise me if we get some type of motion or jet or something from the stacked guy on the bottom to go towards the top. Okay, so they're going to change. What they're going to do is just. All right, so pause it right there. So this is an example of the creativity behind Coach Morris's offense. He starts out, he's in empty right, which is a passing formation or a quarterback draw. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Now, with a quick 2-second shift, he's in his offense, a heavily run-oriented offense, or at least not offense but formation. So he's given things. So what he's going to be looking for is he wants to know, does the defense react to that, and if they do react, how do they react? And then that's going to tell him down the road what he needs to be doing offensively. And what they do is the exact same play they scored a touchdown on. They just did it to the opposite side of the field. So that's the smash concept. The outside guy runs a hitch, the inside guy runs a corner.
You talk about the first play of the game where the corners were playing was going to play a big, and we see it several plays where it has pattern. Like right here, you got he's what, 7 yards off again, or 6 yards off.
Right. So, and what would be important? So what can happen? And there's so much to talk about in all these formations that we can't talk about all of it. But what is not known is, so that nickelback that's over number 2 down here at the bottom of the screen, he could be he could be in a zone coverage, so he could be covering the flats. So he could be playing hard up on some type of screen. Right. And by flats, it's not really so much to the sideline. But it's just he's going to be attacking anything aggressively. Anything that's short, he's going to be all over the top of it.
It could easily be a pick 6. Yeah. Right. There you go.
Or he could be in some type of man coverage. So that would be where you would see some type of if they were wondering that, they can make somebody move to see if somebody went with them.
Yeah. And that's why you see a lot of motion anyway, to see if you can get a tail.
See, the problem with what they're covered, their defense right here is they're not guarding, they're not stopping the edge at all. So if SMU wants to run the ball to the left, they're going to get the edge
all day,
no doubt. So they come back and run power back away. They get positive yardage. All right, 3rd and short.
And you got your corners walked up.
Yep. Probably in some type of man coverage right here so they can bring pressure. So they're just, faking jet and still running this. So that's, we kind of see some of the same stuff with these different thought processes. What Coach Morris is trying to do there is he's just trying to confuse the linebacker's eyes a little bit and just slow them down. So they're going to hesitate. Do I attack downhill to stop the power play, or am I scraping to get to this jet? And, he's just trying to get just that fraction of a second of them playing it slow so he can get the first down. Whoa. Run that again.
Buck sweep.
That was buck sweep. That's what that was. That was buck sweep. We say buck sweep. What we're talking about is We're going to block down, and we're going to have the play side guard kick out, and the backside guard is going to wrap.
It works forever. Always will work.
Yep. It's a great play. That was a heck of a throw.
Yes, it was.
Heck of a throw. And one of the reasons that kind of stuff's going to work is because SMU is having some success on the ground. I'll tell you what, Arkansas over the years has been able to really get a lot of good athletes. They've had some exceptional athletes at that school.
They can always find a running back.
Coach,
they've always been there.
And Chad Morris has been one of the best offensive minds in the game of football for a while now.
Right.
What coaches in the SEC over the last 5 or 6 years has been at his level from an offensive standpoint?
Malzahn.
Maybe Malzahn.
Offensively,
I can't think of anybody that's as good as, because what was the guy's name that was at Texas A&M?
Sumlin.
Sumlin was a good coach, but to me, Sumlin was not. He was not as interested in the running game and being tough. And coach, that's not Chad Morris.
Now Morris is great at getting an advantage on nearly every play.
Right.
He almost always gets an advantage to wherever he wants that play to go. He's great at using motion to get the defense out of position. Morris he's one of my favorite. Wherever he's been, wherever he was coaching, I just love to watch his teams play. I just love to see what he's going to do with the ball.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've watched plenty of offenses that he's coached, but I've never really paid attention to him like this. Arkansas, y'all are getting a great coach. This guy, he knows what he's doing, and you can't always get too wrapped up in what happens in the play, like is it successful or not, because it's going to be successful when the thought process and the coaching technique is right, and you got the right guys to do it.
You got the right guys to do
it. And I'm just now that I'm kind of getting a little sneak peek into his mind. The guy knows what he's talking about, and he knows what he's doing, and he's setting things up, and he's got answers. And what he's trying to do is make a defense commit to stopping one thing or the other. And it could be he's trying to make them, put an extra guy in the passing game so he can run it, or put an extra guy in the run game so he can pass it, or play one side of the field stronger than you should be. And he's looking for that. And I can just see where he's going to start exploiting it. And he's got a gift. He really seems to me like he's creative. Now, you may think, you're just blowing smoke, but what I'm seeing from him right now seems to be very positive to me. It would not surprise me at all to see Arkansas in 2 years being one of the best offenses in the SEC.
I don't know how much you watch Arkansas with the last guy, Brent, but what all offensively it seemed like he was pretty straightforward, power, down.
Well, he teaches the power as good as anybody in the world. They can do that. They can, Now,
and this is going to be a lot of power running just out of the spread set.
It'll be a lot.
So the change isn't nearly as drastic as people are going to think. Your linemen are going to be doing the same thing basically every play.
Pretty much. It's going to be similar. So it's not going to – what I don't know about Arkansas is I don't know if they've got the skill guys in place. Now, they may.
They may, yeah.
But I don't – it may take a year or two to get those kind of guys. But it's so like we were spending that time earlier on discussing the run pass options and how the power play is so important in that scheme. Well, they're going to be able to do that right off the bat.
Right off the bat. And if you can do that, the rest of it's easy.
Right. Right. The hardest thing is to move people.
It's to move.
They're not going to have a hard time. So this is, that they're see, that's what I'm saying. That when you see that up back, that H or Y, whatever you want to call it, you got to be. That is going to Arkansas is going to be able to run that formation. They're just going to take whoever was their fullback, whoever was their tight end, and that's going to be the up back. Mm-hmm. And then the other 4 skill spots will be their 4 best athletes on the team. Okay? That's a good example right there of what we were talking about with the boundary field corner. If you look on the boundary side, the short side, look how close that corner is to the receiver. Mm-hmm. And he just broke up that hitch play. Mm-hmm. If you look to the wide side or the field side, you see that corner is way, way off. So that's boundary. That's the difference in the boundary and the field. Your best man-to-man guy in most defenses is going to play to the short side. All right, we're still in this power look. Last time it was a play-action pass. It looked like it was a busted block. It looked like one guy went the wrong way because I think they were trying to run power, but the fullback run the wrong way. And that happens. You're human. That's what happened right there. Now this is a trip, so this is 3rd and long, so it's going to be more of an aggressive formation. So we're going trips, 4 wide. They ran what's called, stop right there, they ran what's called a follow, which you're going to have a shallow coming, mm-hmm. and then behind it you're going to have a dig. It's one of my favorite, what we would call a 90s passing game or a true drop back passing game. The back, so they moved, they checked to that, that's why the back switch sides. He ran out to the flat. See if you can run that play over again. And while you're getting to it, I'll talk about what they were doing. They started out with a formation. Coach Morris had a chance to look at the defense. He swapped to what I would call follow. Now, he would call it something different. So what happened is the back swapped. So now, pause it. So now the back's going out in the flats. You see that one wide receiver that's coming right down the line. He's going to run the shallow. Mm-hmm. What Coach Morris is hoping will happen is with that guy running the shallow, that'll bring those linebackers will come up to make that tackle, and then the guy that's running the slot in down the hash is going to run a dig in behind him. So what he's trying to do, straight across, like that. He's hoping that those guys step up on the shallow and then they hit the dig behind it.
Space, right.
All right, so hit it, but be ready to pause it. All right, you see how he's already coming across? Mm-hmm. All right, pause it. See, he had him. Just made a bad throw.
Yeah.
He didn't have much time, but the space was there. Mm-hmm. So, like as a coach, the concept worked. They just didn't execute it.
Yeah,
right.
Just got to execute.
All right, coming back to that more of a power-looking scheme. There's a pre-snap read again on the outside edge. All right, coming out in ace and they're motioning to trips. Oh, good call. So see,
he was explaining that earlier.
Right. So they came to that formation. They motioned to it, and the reason it's better to motion to that is because that when those you gotta try to make yourself think like the defense is going to be thinking. When they see that quick motion to that power set, their thought is going to be they're motioning to there to get the advantage to run there. Mm-hmm. So then when they fake the quick toss to that's going to make that safety at the very least sit.
Right.
And more than likely, so he takes a step forward.
Yep, took a step forward.
And then he gets out of position. Mm-hmm. So and this is the real genius of Coach Morris's offense. I mean, this is awesome. He's got that one guy running the seam. Okay? the slot guy, pause it right there. So the slot guy attacked the middle. It made that safety who stepped up on the run, then he was like, oh crap, I'm out of position. So he turns to get on the guy that he just knows is where the ball's going. But that's not where the ball's going. The ball's going to the guy that motioned that seemed like he was leading it. And he ran right to where that guy was at. I mean, that is big time offensive football right there. Big time offensive football. Yeah. And not that hard.
No, not hard.
Not that hard, but everything he's been doing all. And the guys, I'm telling you, I didn't know when we stopped and we talked about what we were seeing at him. I didn't realize this was about to happen. But what I knew was he's setting things up.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. That's what most coaches do not do. Most coaches, they call plays.
And they want you to execute.
And they want you to execute the play. And it's, they just block harder.
Yeah.
That's what they want you to do. Very few coaches are creating situations throughout the game that they can exploit when they need them. You've heard your whole life, if they can't do it until they stop it. I don't think that's the best way to coach offensive football. Because when you're all right, he's going to be at Arkansas, he's going to be in the SEC. When you're playing Alabama, I guarantee you they can stop whatever you're doing. If you do it enough, they can stop whatever you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you've got to be able to do is when you see something that they're not stopping, you save it until you need it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, the goal is to be good at enough things where you can move the ball. But if you sit there and say, well, they're not stopping the power play, which Alabama will stop that, I guarantee you. But let's say they're not. If you do it three times in a row, you're not going to do it on the fourth time. Because Saban's going to cuss everybody out and they will get it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
But you may see that the way they're playing the power play, maybe something else is open.
Right. Maybe the safety's playing too aggressive. Maybe the outside linebacker's playing too aggressive. Maybe anything.
So the key is knowing when to take those chances and knowing when to strike. That's the difference in, the number one thing is having a system where you can do it. Mm-hmm. Coach Morris has that system. The second thing is knowing when to pull the trigger on those plays. And he just seems to have that natural instinct on when to do it. So they're in trips bunch right here.
There's only
not a lot of time left.
There's about 15 seconds left.
Oh.
Did you catch it?
There you go.
Wow, great catch. I couldn't really tell it was a down the field. They're trying to, they don't have much time left. All right, so let's go ahead and say there's no way something's up. All right, there's 6 seconds or so. They're under center. They haven't been under center all game.
Here comes the Hail Mary and he goes under center.
Right, so they're going to do some type of fake something, throw it deep or something. All right, fake reverse. Hey, nice play. Nice play, man. That's a great concept.
Yeah.
Sending everybody deep. Except this one guy's running a deep cross. We're faking the reverse. See, that's great coaching. He knew we're not going to hit a Hail Mary, most likely. But let's pick up 25 yards. We can do that.
Then we got something to. Yeah.
And then we can at least kick a field goal.
Yep.
Really, really good coaching. Now, kind of in a position where take a shot.
Throw it up, yeah.
Yep. Good coach.
I'm impressed with him, which I've always been impressed with. He's been one of my favorite coaches to watch.
He's always been somebody that I thought was a really good coach, but I hadn't really looked at what he does. And look, a half is not much to grade people on, but you can see how long. I mean, to really dive into to what they're doing, it takes some time. What I see out of Coach Morris is he's very detailed. Okay, so his offense is, he knows based on what the defense is doing, the direction he wants to go. He knows it backwards and forwards. He also has lots of plays, and I don't mean plays like different plays. I mean, he has lots of ways to attack you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He spent the majority of his time in what would be considered power running sets for his offense. No, people would not think of Coach Morris as a power running coach, but that's what he spent most of his time in, at least in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it because he's trying to keep the ball moving in the way he wants, and he's also playing to his personnel. You know, he's trying to get advantages. He's committed to the run, and he's committed to hurting you based on if you try to stop the run.
I love the hire for Arkansas. I think it's a great. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think
it's gonna be a lot
anywhere
better
this guy went, he could have been successful. I think with Arkansas, they got a lot, and they've been good.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, I could see this being a great hire for them.
I do too. I like him. I think it's a great hire for him.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you like. We're going to be talking about a lot of different schools with new coaches over the next few weeks. We'll also be doing a preseason type national show. We want to talk about what we see coming, and we'll be doing things weekly as the season progresses, talking about the big games each week.
If you got any questions, or if there's anything y'all want us to expand on, let us know in the comments.
All right, appreciate it.